Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Just checking to ensure that everybody can hear us. So welcome to our EAP webinar for 2026. We welcome you. We have about 300 plus persons online, and we're sure that as we proceed with the presentation that other persons will be joining us. Just a few housekeeping matters before we begin, and we're going to ask you to use your question and answer box at the bottom of the screen to put your questions in. So do not use the chat. I think the chat should be disabled. So we're going to use the question and answer section to ask all our questions. We're going to ask you to just hold off on your questions a little bit to see how much of the presentation we actually will be able to get through. And we are confident that by the time we're done with the presentation, that many of your questions will be answered. All right. The presentation is actually being recorded, and we will send an email with the recording in another few days. So much like the maturity webinar, we'll send out the recording for the presentation so you can always rewatch at your own leisure and at your own convenience. So once again, I am Trisha Gay Clark. We're so happy that you could join us this year for our annual EAP webinar. I am the Chief Administrator representing the Global Administrator for the plan. And online, we actually have some other persons with us. We have Marlene Sigri-Lyon, who you will hear from later on. She's also online. We have Aisha Barrett, who is online. Aisha represents the fund management part, the asset management aspect of the fund. And so we look forward to a fulfilling and informative webinar this year. All right. So just let's get into it. So these are the things that we'll cover throughout the webinar. We're going to look at just give you an overview of the team of where we are, the historic EAP rate, just general plans and the future, how the future of the business is looking. We'll go through the EAP application process with you, and then we will have our question and answer section. All right. All right, so here we go. So this is really just reminding you of the structure of Heritage. Heritage was purchased or acquired back in 2022 by Proven Group. And what we have here is just a reminder that Heritage is actually distributed in Jamaica, Bahamas, Bermuda, the BVI. Currently in Bermuda, we don't have an agency, but we're working on that to have the agency back up and running. And we also have some of the partners who help us to ensure that the plan is duly administered. It helps us to ensure that the assets are prudently invested. And so we have Sterling Bahamas, who assist us on the Bahamian front. We also have Scotia Bahamas, who also takes care of the investments for Bahamas. We have CFAL also as an investment advisor, along with currently PWL. And we also have Clarion Investments Limited. All right. The trustee is Butterfield Trust, Bermuda, and the trustee really is the operator of the plan who ensures that we are keeping all our ducks in a row. And so the trustee is Butterfield Trust, Bermuda Limited. Board of directors for the plan. So currently the board constitutes of Garfield Sinclair, who's the chairman. And we have two other directors, Johan Heaven and John Reed. All right, so let me know. I think I was echoing, so you can let me know if you're hearing me any clearer as we proceed. So just a reminder, online we have Marlene Sigri-Lyon and we have Aisha Barrett, who are the core persons involved in the day-to-day operational management of the plan. Just a reminder of who the agency directors are. So in Bahamas last year, the agency was taken over by Nathaniel Butler, and that's Druba Solutions. So they are down by Mackey Street on the Mackey Street Plaza. They have really added a breath of fresh air to the Bahamian structure. In BVI, we have Gian Borland Gazambe from the Mutual Insurance Agency. In Bermuda, we will have a new agency up and running soon, all being well. So we're just working out the quirks with that. But the Bermuda agency was managed by Jerry Swan for years. Jerry retired earlier this year, and so we're working to have a new agency up and running. And then for Jamaica's agency is actually Proven Wealth Limited. So for now, you actually see my name there as agency director, but that will be adjusted shortly. All right. So just a reminder of the general strength of the Heritage Plan. So since its inception, we have actually paid out in excess of 250 million US dollars. And the mandate of Heritage is really to ensure that we assist persons with saving for tertiary or post-secondary education. Just like the cost of everything else, the cost of education isn't stagnant, it rises, and it has risen over the years. And so we've been able to pay, help quite a few families to get their beneficiaries, their children, their grandchildren, nieces, nephews into college. And we've returned here 64 or 65% of what we've paid out represents principal being returned to subscribers. And then an additional 34% almost represents EAPs, and EAPs are scholarships. So the plan really is sold for the scholarship component. It's a beautiful thing. When you realize that you are able to get additional funds for 3 years post-maturity to really help and put towards the cost of funding education. All right. So what are the future plans? We continue to see how best we can improve the performance of the plan. We were able to returns gross above 7.5% in 2025. So we're targeting a consistent 5% annual yield, net yield, given the strict and conservative nature of the plan. So the plan is actually a very conservative investment. When you look at the plan's documents, it speaks about the specific types of investments that the plan is allowed to invest in. And so we're just trying our best to see how we can be creative whilst maintaining the conservative nature of the plan's investments. All right. We continue to look at how we can make the operational aspects of the plan more efficient. That being said, in terms of how we make your payments, how quickly you get your payments, how do you communicate with us, how it is that you view your information. So as time goes by, we constantly see how best we can work to improve on the operational aspects of the plan. And lastly, we are always looking at improving your customer service. So your experience. So again, operational efficiencies most times lead to better or improved customer experience. And so that really is our target to ensure that at the end of the day, we are improving our customer experience for you, our subscribers, and for the beneficiaries as well. All right. So I'm going to ask Marlene now to just take you through your heritage journey in terms of where you are, where you were, where you are now, and then we look at the next steps. We have a poll question coming up, so you can answer the poll. Once it comes off, then Marlene will take us through the heritage journey. Marlene, over to you.
Thank you so much, Tricia. Just a quick note before I begin. I just got a note saying that there is an echo coming from, I'm not sure if it's me or you now, but is there anything that we can do technically to ensure that we don't have that? I wasn't hearing it. Perhaps I should say if we're not speaking, we can mute our mics. Maybe that will help. But I wasn't getting that echo. I just got a note that someone else is getting the echo. So whatever we can do to ensure that Deneen and team, just to for us to have a better sound quality for our audience, that would be great. Okay, thank you. Again, thank you, Tricia, for walking us through that aspect of the presentation. I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to our subscribers. Thank you for allowing us to be on this journey with you over the years. I know some as long as 18 years. We just want to say how much we appreciate your confidence and the trust that you've placed in us to invest your education savings so that we can be at this point where it's time to reap the benefits of the Heritage Plan and the fruits of your dedicated savings over the years. I won't go too much into the process that brought us here because I'm pretty sure most of you would have been on the maturity webinar last year, because everybody on this webinar, your plans would have matured. You would have selected the option, which is the scholarship option, that would have then brought you to this aspect of your journey where we are getting ready to pay out the EAPs. You would have had your maturity proceeds paid either last year or the year prior or the year before. So you're here because you're either getting ready to apply for EAP number 1, 2, or 3. And so we are very happy to be on this journey with you. It's the most exciting time of the year for us when we are at this stage, getting ready, working diligently in the background to ensure that the process of you receiving your funds and the benefits from the plan are the process is as smooth as possible. So again, a big thank you for your trust and for your support. Maturity, there were 2 options, and this evening we'll be focusing on just a scholarship option. As I said, you're here because you would have selected the scholarship option at maturity when your plan matured. None of us on this webinar now would have selected the self-determined option, because had that option been selected, then the plan would have been deemed closed at maturity, where you would have received your maturity proceeds and the interest portion, the interest that your plan would have earned. So all of us on this webinar would have selected the scholarship option because we know that your beneficiary, or you would have been aware or have a pretty good idea that your beneficiary would be pursuing post-secondary studies. So again, the option that we're looking at this evening is a scholarship option where your beneficiary is eligible for scholarship payments. Under the scholarship option, you would have received your principal minus fees and insurance premiums if applicable, and that would have been paid out to you at maturity. In addition to your principal that was returned, your beneficiary is now entitled to receive a maximum of 3 educational assistance payments, or what we call scholarships. So the terms are interchangeable. You'll hear us referring to EAPs or scholarships. It's one and the same. So if your beneficiary will be attending a 3 to 4 year program, then they're poised to receive maximum benefits from the plan. If they plan to, it doesn't have to be a 4 year program. It could be multiple 1 or 2 year programs. It doesn't matter, as long as they're enrolled in a recognized post-secondary institution, then they're poised to receive the full benefits of the Heritage Plan. EAPs are paid annually where your beneficiary is enrolled in school. So for a beneficiary to get an EAP, he or she has to be enrolled in a recognized post-secondary institution. For a beneficiary to access the EAP, they must provide current proof of enrollment into the program for each year that they're applying for an EAP. So 3 EAPs are available. They're not paid all at once. They're not paid in 1 year. Only 1 EAP can be released in an academic year. EAPs are comprised primarily of the interest that your plan would have earned. So you did not select the self-determined option. Your interest is left behind. It goes into a pool of funds along with a discretionary top-up payment that is made by the foundation. And those are the two components that form the scholarship payment. Actual payouts are based on the number of units held in your plan. So the actual amount that you receive will be dependent on how largely you subscribe to the Heritage Plan. EAPs, the value of the EAPs are determined each year. So we can't say what EAP will be for next year, but later on in the program, we will share with you what the EAP per unit is for this current academic year. So there are questions, and things don't always go as smoothly as we plan them. I mean, last year you would have been adamant that your child is going on to post-secondary studies. And so with that known knowledge, you selected the scholarship option. They may come back to you this year and say, I'm not sure I want to go to school. What are the options? Or they may start school for those who are looking to apply for their second or third EAP. They may have started, wanted to take a gap year, wanted to take a break. You might ask, is all lost? Will I be losing out on an EAP because they simply want to take a break? No. For the first EAP, so a beneficiary becomes eligible for an EAP, their first EAP in the year after the plan matures. So some of us may be getting ready to apply for our first EAP, but the child has come to you and said, I am really not sure I am ready to go to school in the coming fall. That first EAP may be deferred for up to 2 years. So the child may decide, I don't want to go this year, but I'm going to school next year. All is well, all is not, nothing is lost, because that first EAP may be deferred for 2 years, 2 academic years. If after those 2 academic years, you do not apply for that first EAP, or contact the foundation and possibly provide your extenuating situation that would have warranted a further extension, that first EAP would be forfeited. So 2 automatic deferrals, and if we don't hear from you and that EAP is not applied for, that 1 EAP is forfeited. EAP 2, if EAP 1 is paid out and the beneficiary may choose to again take a break or just take a break, they can defer EAP 2 and EAP 3, only 1 year deferral per EAP thereafter is granted. So after the first EAP is released in the sense that it's either paid or forfeited, only 1 EAP, 1 year, deferral of the second or third EAP can only be granted for 1 year. Okay, so the first one you get 2 years, second and third may be deferred for 1 year. If the beneficiary, your plan have matured under the scholarship option and the child says, I am not going to school, the beneficiary may be substituted. They may have a younger sibling, a cousin, a niece. It doesn't have to be blood relative. The substitution may occur where that new beneficiary could benefit from the EAPs. For that to happen, there are conditions. One of those conditions is that both the old beneficiary and the new beneficiary would have to be under 22 years, and no EAPs can be paid for a substitution to occur. all 3 EAPs must be intact, meaning they have not been paid, neither of any been forfeited. Once there is a payment, and I'll back up to say, once an EAP is released, and when I say release, I mean it's either paid or forfeited, then a substitution cannot occur. So we do urge you, if you are not sure, to consider substitution. If you're not sure that your child is going on to post-secondary studies, even though you have selected the scholarship option, is to consider substitution before an EAP becomes forfeited and before the child turns 22 years old. So this is a chart that gives us a little bit of a history as to the payments over the years. Since 2019, you can see the trend of the EAP values. And I would just like to highlight here, as Tricia alluded to earlier, Proven acquired the business from Knowledge First in 2022. And we can see what has happened since 2022. The EAP values have been steadily climbing. There's been a steady increase in the values of the EAP. So I just want to pause here to give a shout out to Aisha and the investment team that have been working diligently to prudently invest the funds within the parameters of the investment policy being a very conservative investment policy. But yet we can afford to make these incremental increases over the years. It's really, really commendable. And I just want to say thank you to Aisha and team for the diligent work that you're doing. At all times, our aim is to maximize the benefits for our subscribers while keeping the investments within that which we are allowed under the investment policy, it being a very conservative investment policy. We do not take high risk or any sorts of high risk investments, make any high risk investments with your contributions, because we pride ourselves on ensuring that your funds will be available when they're needed. Okay. So last year, before I move on to the next slide, last year's EAP rate was $165 per unit for the EAP that was paid in that year. Whether it was your first, second, or third EAP, that value was $165 per unit. And so for this year, we are so excited to say, yay, we now have yet another increase in the rate of the EAP value. It's now up to $170 per unit. So if your beneficiary will be receiving their first, second, or third EAP this academic school year, you will be paid at a rate of $170 per unit. And you can remind yourself of your unit count by simply looking on your statement of account. You'll see the number of units held in your plan. So the board remains committed and steadfast to the core mandate of making a difference in the lives of the families by providing you with an attractive return to allow for your beneficiary to pursue their dreams, their goals through a post-secondary / tertiary level education. We continue to ensure that the principal preservation is key. There is no year that we have never returned the principal savings to our subscribers. So preserving your principal, ensuring that funds are there when that plan matures is critical to the operation of the plan. And the board has been continuously investing in the assets of, prudently investing in assets that will ensure a sustainable growth over the medium to long term that will ensure our beneficiaries receive maximum benefits from their heritage plan. So again, we're thrilled to announce we have an increase this year. It's $170 per unit. You would simply look at the number of units in your plan times $170 to get an idea of what your EAP value will be when you complete that application. And so the application process is an online application process. By now, I'm pretty sure everyone would have accessed the dashboard, because you would have had to access the dashboard to apply for your maturity proceeds. In a likewise manner, you must complete the the EAP application process on the dashboard. So you'd simply log into your secure member dashboard online, select the EAP tile, and follow the process to input the information required to complete the application process. We do have, if we could just paste the URL in the chat for those who want to be reminded of how to access. I doubt that we would have anybody on this call maybe having challenges getting onto the dashboard, but for the sake of those who might, let's kindly put that URL into the chat for us, please, and thank you. So there are documents required when you're completing the EAP application online. The person completing the application, whether it be the subscriber or the beneficiary, must upload a valid ID. It has to be a valid government-issued ID. Please ensure that the ID does not have an expiry date. Expired IDs will not be accepted. So you just want to take an extra second or two to ensure that the ID is valid before you upload. When you sign in online to begin the application process, it will populate the address that we have on file for you. If that's not your current address and you've changed address, you will need to input your current address and upload a copy of your proof of address. The proof of address may be a utility bill or a copy of a bank statement. It can be no older than 3 months old. So again, only if you have changed your address will we ask that you upload a proof of address, and the proof of address has to be 3 months or less, dated 3 months or less. You will need to have a proof of registration. So the proof of registration, we will give you a little snippet of what it looks like. It's on the website under the resource center. Students are asked to download a copy of the proof of registration, bring that into the registrar's office, where the registrar will complete, stamp, seal that proof of address that must be uploaded, showing that the student is enrolled in the current academic year in order for the EAP to be released. It is strongly recommended that you save these documents before you begin the application process. You don't want to be in the middle of the application, then have to stop to go scan and upload these documents. We ask that you have them ready before you begin the process. That will ensure a smooth application process for you. The files that you do save for uploading must be in one of the following formats, either it be a JPEG, PDF, BMP, a text file, or a PNG file. And that file should not be larger than 5 megabytes. So you may find that you're having challenges. If you are having challenges uploading your document, just stop and check the file size and the file extension. It has to be one of which that is showing here on the presentation. Okay, no more than 5 megabytes. What if a subscriber doesn't have online access? We would love to be assured that everybody can access the dashboard, but we know that is not always the case. If you're having challenges accessing the dashboard, you don't have online access, you may not be computer savvy, we do ask that you reach out to your sales representative, who will be very happy to help with the online application process. Before you do that, however, you must have the completed proof of registration form signed by the registrar. You must have a copy of your ID. You must have the payment form, the completed payment form, and the proof of address if your address on file is different from what it is now. You would present those documents to your sales representative, and the sales rep would be very happy to help you with making that online submission so that the EAP can be released. Okay, so if you have any questions or having challenges or do not have access, we strongly urge that you speak to your sales representative, who will be more than happy to help you. For our subscribers in Bermuda, we are happy to share that we do have a team on the ground. Tricia is there leading that team to assist with the process, with the understanding that we no longer have the services of Jerry Swan and his team as an agency. We are on the ground physically to help our subscribers with the application process. So we do ask that if you need assistance, you are not able to make this application online by yourself and you need help, we urge you to go to Sweet Solutions in Pembroke to meet with Tricia and Aliyah, who will be more than happy to help you with the EAP application process. You will need to bring along with you your valid ID, proof of address, no more than 3 months old, where there is a change in the address, and your banking details to facilitate the electronic transfer. For subscribers in Bermuda, because we don't have a physical office space and the presence of the agency, payments will have to be made electronically. You will need to provide us with your banking details. So we do ask that you walk with proof. We don't want for you to be there and to try to guess what your banking details are, because any change in just a minor digit in your banking will not allow for you to get those funds. So we do ask that you bring along proofs that can be shared with the team. Would be more than happy to help you. In addition to your ID and banking and proof of address, you will need to download the proof of registration form, have it completed, and the EAP payment request form, which is the banking details, must be completed and brought in to the ladies at Sweet Solutions in Pembroke. They'd be more than happy to welcome you and to help you with the process. And I know this is blurry here, but I do urge you, sorry, stop. We'll take a poll. We'll take a quick poll before we go into the proof of registration. We look at the proof of registration form. So again, the proof of registration form is available on the website. If we could put the URL for the website in the chat, that would be good. Thank you. The top portion must be completed by the beneficiary. Enter your name, your heritage agreement number. If you have more than one heritage plan, you will need to enter both heritage plan numbers. The beneficiary signs the top portion, signs and date the top portion, provide your email address, the beneficiary's email address. You bring that form into the school, into your institution. They would complete the middle portion with your course and information and course details. The registrar will sign, stamp, and or seal the proof of registration form upon completion. Some institutions will send that form directly back to the foundation, but we do ask that you ask for a copy, because you will need to have a copy and have that ready for uploading when you're applying. So if the school says, I will have to send this directly to the foundation, we do ask that you ask them for a photocopy that you will have, because it will be required when you're completing the enrollment process. So with that, I'll hand back over to Tricia, who will give us a demonstration of what to expect when we go on the dashboard to enroll for the, to apply for the EAP. Thank you, and back to you, Tricia.
Thank you, Maureen. All right, so in this next section, we are going to just go through briefly how do you handle the application process online, just to ensure that everybody is okay with what is to be done. There's some persons who already know persons who would have completed last year, and it's the same process as last year. So the online member dashboard, is this the second one or the first one? You're going to log into the online member dashboard, and Maureen had said earlier up, you're going to click on the tile that says EAP application. All right. Once you click on the tile that says EAP application, these are the tabs that you'll see. So you'll see subscribers, payment details, banking details, education details, and submission. So subscribers really just has the names of the subscribers there. It has your information. Maureen, you wanted to say something?
Yes. Sorry, Trisha. I think we overlooked one slide. It's the other acceptable form of
Okay,
the proof
forms
of
of,
registration.
no problem.
Yeah, I think it's
Can you just-
important that we explain that.
All right, sure. Can
Sorry,
you,
sorry,
you're there?
guys. Yes, yeah. So I can explain quickly.
Go ahead.
So we did look at the proof of registration form. There are some institutions who will not complete that form because they do not complete third-party forms. So what we do ask in such instances is that you, as a student, obtain a copy of go to your student online access portal and obtain a copy of your anything on that portal that would show that you are a student at that institution. The name of the institution and the logo must be visible. Your name must be visible as well, and the course of your study must show on whatever you're gonna copy from your portal. We will substitute that as proof of registration, as opposed to our internal form that some institutions may not want to complete. Whatever you're accessing to show us that it's really just to give us proof that you are in school. It has to show that it's you. It has to show that you're currently enrolled for the fall 2026 school year. You may want to look at your statement of account showing payments. That may suffice as long as it fulfills all the requirements above, in that it has to show your name, your current year level for which you're enrolled, it has to show you the name of your school, it has to show the logo. Whatever that looks authentic will be required as a substitution for the proof of registration form. Okay, if you have any doubts or any question as to what will work, you can reach out to the office or reach out to your sales representative. Thank you, Trisha, and thank you so much.
And then also a letter, if you have a letter that just from the school that says the child is registered, that is also acceptable. All right.
Right. Thank you, and sorry for that interruption.
No problem, no problem.
Okay.
All right, so back to what the screens will look like online for those persons who are accessing it for the first time. So you will look at the subscriber information. Again, if you are making any change to it, then you would have to upload their proof that you are making any changes, right? So it asks you for how you want your payment to be done, whether you want your payment to be done via check or whether you want your payment to be done via electronic means. For Bermuda persons, currently we're only doing electronic payments. So if it is being done to a Bermudan account, it costs 50 cents to do the transfer, whether it's HSBC, Bank of Butterfield or Clarion, whichever local bank it's being transferred to in Bermuda, it costs 50 cents. For other jurisdictions, you have the option to select a check or an electronic transfer or a wire. Please note that there are charges associated with wire payments, and so we have to bear that in mind when you're selecting your method of payment. All right. So it asks you again to upload the ID for the person who is completing the application. So if it's the subscriber who is doing it, you must upload your ID here. If it's the beneficiary who is doing the application, then the beneficiary should upload his or her ID here. Then you will select next. Then it takes you to the payment details. So if you opted for electronic transfer, it asks you for the IDs here, the respective IDs, and then it will ask you on the next screen to input the banking information. So you can go to the next tab. Here you input the name of the bank, the account holder's name. So if you notice, on this screen, you'll see account holder 1 and the account holder 3. You have 3 slots here, 1, 2, and 3, and this is because for scholarship payments are actually to be made to the beneficiary. And so the beneficiary's name is here as an option. It's defaulted to the beneficiary, or it's defaulted with the beneficiary's name being populated as well. And so here you must indicate whether the beneficiary's name is on the account, whether it's both subscribers' name which are on the account as well as the beneficiary, or whether it's just the beneficiary's name that's on the account. If it's just the beneficiary's name that's on the account, please ensure that you put that information where you have the slot that says account holder number 1. On the dashboard, anything that has an asterisk is a required field. So if we notice here, account holder 1 has an asterisk beside it, it means that you must have something input in that field. There's no requirement for anything to be put in account holder 2 or account holder 3 unless it's a jointly held account. All right. The account number is also mandatory, so please ensure that you, again, double check your account number. The type of account, point to note for all of us who are online, if your account especially is a Scotiabank account, so if it's a Scotiabank account anywhere in the world, or if your bank is in the Bahamas, please ensure you input your branch code. I'm going to repeat, if your account is in the Bahamas, or if your account is a Scotiabank account anywhere in the world, please ensure you include your branch code. Some of these banks reuse or recycle the account numbers, and what makes the difference is a branch code. Scotia is known for that. So please ensure that we double check to ensure that our branch code, 5-digit number, it's 5 digits. Please ensure that we input our branch code. All right. Then it asks you for the type of account currency, whether it's a US dollar account or any other account that we're doing an international wire to. And then it asks you for the bank's address. All right. So just to double check, ensure that the banking information is correct, the name on the account that you're giving us is correct, and the account number is correct. Those 3 things must be accurate. All right. Then for those persons who are requesting an international wire, you must provide the intermediary banking information. And then you include here that you are confirming that the student has authorized that the EAPs are to be paid directly to whoever it is above, which is either the student or the subscribers. So this is just simply saying, okay, we know the payment is to be made to the beneficiary. However, I am confirming that the beneficiary has said it's okay for the payment to be made to the subscribers, or it is to be paid to the beneficiary. All right. And then it just asks you here for the educational details. So it asks for the name of the institution, which is mandatory, date first enrolled, program length, expected completion date, And then you are to upload here the proof of registration. So for those persons who were not too clear, Marlene had indicated the different forms of proof of registration. So remember, there's a proof of registration form, which is available on the Heritage website. Just go to the Heritage website, click on resources, and you can access the proof of registration form. If you don't have that proof of registration form, is actually to be completed, stamped, signed by the institution, given back to the beneficiary, and then that will be uploaded to the portal. In some instances where the school sends the form directly to Proven, what we will do is forward the proof of registration to you so that you can then complete your application online. Your application cannot be completed without you uploading the proof of registration. If it is that you have a letter confirming that the child is registered, that will be accepted as proof of registration, so you'd upload it here. If it is that you have a statement showing that your balance for the year, clearly indicating the child's name, how much is due for the upcoming year, what is outstanding, we look at those to see if it is that we will accept it. We can't blanket say yes because sometimes it doesn't have all the information that we need. A screenshot, guys, please ensure that the screenshot details all the information that we would have mentioned earlier. Must have the child's name, must have the university that is being, or the college that is being attended, must show the URL, and it must show that the child is registered. So it must show registered or has the courses that are being done and show 2026, 2027. It must show that it has the child being registered for 2026 to 2027. All right. So once, and I encourage you to use either the computer when you're doing the screenshot, because the visual on the phone, on the mobile app is very limited, and you find that you're going to have to go to different screens to get all the information. Usually when you have it on the computer, you're able to get a screen grab of almost everything that is required all at once. All right. So please, if possible, do the screenshot from the computer. So the POR must be uploaded here. If you're unsure about the POR that you have, whether it is acceptable, please contact us before you upload it. Or if you upload it, just call us and ask us just to confirm that this is something that is acceptable. All right. And then the final screen is just the disclaimer saying, we understand that we are giving permission or approval for the payment information to be used as was submitted. And it's basically just saying we are indemnifying us from any incorrect information that would have been provided to process the application. All right, so that's really it. Once you submit the application, there is going to be a pop-up that says confirming your application has been received. And then we will get an email on our side to say you have submitted an application, and we will go through, review the documents. Please double check a couple of things. And we've actually seen this in some of the maturity applications that we have received thus far. Please double check the ID that you're uploading just to ensure that it is not expired. We've seen expired passports. We've seen expired driver's license. Please ensure that the ID that is being uploaded is valid and is current. Just double check. Sometimes we know that it's an error and an oversight, but it does slow up the process, because what is then required, we are going to have to stop the application approval. We have to contact you. You have to upload a recent document, and then we will process the application. So your request will be reviewed. We'll review it, authorize it, and once we have approved it, you will be notified by email to say that your application has been approved and that your payment will be dispatched within 2 weeks. You will also receive a letter just indicating what the payment amount will be, which is based on the number of units that you have times the EAP rate. And then once a payment has been dispatched or your check is ready for collection, you will get an email to say your check is ready for collection, please visit the office, or you will get an email to say your payment has been dispatched, please check your bank account. All right. So that is the application process. You can go to the next slide for me. So just a reminder that you have checks versus electronic payments. So checks will be distributed only to Jamaica, Bahamas, and the BVI. Wire payments can be facilitated at the discretion of the subscribers as customary. Remember, there is a cost. Checks will not be distributed outside of Jamaica, Bahamas, and the BVI, and only electronic bank transfers will be facilitated for persons residing outside of these jurisdictions. All right. Additionally, for Bermuda, just a reminder, local transfers cost 50 cents. For Bahamas, local transfers to a Bahamian bank account that is not RBC Canada, RBC Bahamas, sorry, is $5. However, if you are requesting an international wire from a Bahamian subscriber, that can cost you up to 4.5%. And that is because there are central banking charges relating to the conversion from BSD account to any other currency. So please be mindful. If you're requesting an international wire from a Bahamian account, from a Bahamian subscriber, please note the cost for that wire can go up to 4.5% because there are central bank charges based on the regulations surrounding the conversion from BSD to USD. All right. BVI payments being made to BVI local accounts free of charge. And then for Jamaica, if you're making a payment to I'm sorry, to a BNS account, there are no charges. If it's a US dollar account, it's fine. If it's a J dollar account, of course, it's going to be converted at BNS, whatever BNS's conversion is. And then if you're making a payment to any other JMD account, it is going to be converted at the daily bank rate. All right. So just bear those things in mind. You will, what are the next steps? So you will receive an email just notifying you that you may log on to the dashboard and submit your application. So we anticipate that that email, the dashboard will open by the first week of, about the 7th of August. So you'll get that email saying, you may now log on and start your EAP applications. So during this time, we're encouraging you to just try and resolve the proof of registration issue, whether you have to go to the school or whether you are getting it online, whatever it is, you have that resolved and you ensure that the forms where applicable are duly signed and stamped by the school. So payments we'll begin approving the EAP payments. Once we open the portal and the applications start coming in, we'll begin approving them and then payments will be done weekly, subsequent to the 7th of August. All right. So just some important reminders again. Completed signed and stamped POR must be uploaded to the dashboard. Please do not send any emails with PORs by themselves. It bombards the inbox and it doesn't allow for a smooth process in terms of the application, please. So ensure it's uploaded to the dashboard online via the EAP application portal. Do not just go onto your dashboard and select upload. Please use the EAP application process. If you just upload a document, we won't know. We won't get the notification required for the approval process and it will just sit there. So please ensure you are using the tile that says EAP application. reminder to ensure that all the documents are properly completed. Your IDs are current. And just a reminder that EAPs are paid directly to the beneficiary unless the beneficiary has agreed to have the payment paid to the subscriber. All right. So just use this time as well to ensure that the banking information that you have a banking account that has the beneficiary's name on it, as well as your name if needs be, or just your name. Ensure that the beneficiary is aware and says, okay, I'm okay with the payment being made to your bank account only. And we resolve all of those issues to ensure that there is a smooth process for you to access your funds or for you to cash your checks. All right. This is an important, the slide's a little distorted, but just important to note. So once the EAP season opens in August, it remains open until the 31st of January. Once the 31st of January hits, we will not be receiving or accepting any additional applications, and the EAP season for 26-27 will be closed. Just to remind you, application season will open by the second week in August, and it remains open until the end of January 2027. Applications which have not been received by January 2027 will be either deferred, automatically deferred where applicable, or if the deferral period has expired, then in those instances, the EAPs will be forfeited. Once you miss the 2027 period, you will have to wait until August 2027 to submit an application. All right? Okay. So we have another poll. Just giving you a few seconds to complete that poll, and then we will get into some additional additional questions and answers. I'm going to ask Marlene to just assist with this section where we will go through some additional questions and answers just based on questions that we would have received, or questions that we would have received in previous years. All right.
Sure. Okay, hopefully most of these questions would have been answered in the presentation, but if not, we will just go over them quickly. And I'm seeing question 2. Can you maybe scroll up so I can see what question 1 is?
Question 1 is the webinar recorded? I don't know why it's distorted, but question 1 is whether or not the webinar is recorded.
Okay, yes, the webinar is recorded and will be shared in a few days. Within a few days, you'll have a copy of the recording sent to you via email. Number 2, do we need to apply for the EAP every year? Yes, an EAP application is required every year that a scholarship is due. You must have the current proof of registration for that current academic year to apply for the EAP. 3 is if the student starts university in spring 2027, January 2027, when do we apply? You apply before January 31st, because that's when the portal will close for application. So if they're starting in January 2027 and you have proof that they are currently enrolled in January 2027, please submit your application before the 31st of January. If my child went to trade school, would he get an EAP? Yes. Trade school is considered post-secondary studies, and the child would be eligible to receive an EAP. A child plan matured this year, and he already completed his first year of university. Would he be eligible to receive his EAP this year? Yes, the EAP may be advanced. So all that we ask is for proof of registration showing that the child has completed year 1 and is currently enrolled in the current academic year. And then EAP may be advanced so that there is the possibility of you receiving the maturity proceeds as well as your first EAP in the same year. Trisha went over this. When is the latest to apply? It's January 31st of 2027. January 31st, 2027 is the final date to submit an application. Question 7. If a child opts to not go to college after a scholarship option is selected, you said the EAP can be transferred to another child. Is there a time limit to that transfer or restrictions as to who it can be transferred to? There is a time limit at the time of transfer or at the time of you asking for the substitution to be done to another child. Both the old beneficiary and the new beneficiary must be under age 22, and no EAPs are released or forfeited. Those are the 2 conditions under which the substitution will occur. So all EAPs must be intact, and both beneficiaries, the old one, the new beneficiary, must be under age 22. What happens if the student dies after maturity, God forbid, and before the payment of an EAP? Their substitution may be applicable in that case, or the subscriber would receive, may apply for the interest portion under the plan. So your plan matures, the payment was made, it was released, and the student dies before the payment of an EAP. We would release the EAP, the self-determined option, the interest portion of the plan. Is typically what would happen in such a case. Okay. Will completion of the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Exam, GCA levels, or the International Baccalaureate program qualify for an EAP scholarship? Yes, if a child completes, I think it's 2 years of CAPE, GCA level, or the IB program, that would be deemed completion of 1 year of post-secondary studies, and proof would have to be provided for an EAP to be released under those conditions. Okay, so that's considered post-secondary, and they would be eligible for an EAP. Any other questions?
Thanks,
I think
Moz.
we answered them all.
Yes. Just to remind you though, if you have, so meanwhile you're answering the last poll, if it is that you have multiple plans, you must do an EAP application for each plan. So you can't do one application and expect that you're going to get the EAPs for all. Please remember, if you have multiple plans for a beneficiary, you can use the same proof of registration for all plans, but you must submit an application for each
plan.
All right, so that's a time limit reminder. If you have multiple plans, please ensure you complete the application for each of the plans. All right. The recording will be emailed to all the persons who were registered or who attended the webinar. So you get an email just with thanking you for attending the webinar and sending the link
recording
the webinar so that you can watch it at any other time. All right. Can you give me a reminder of how payment is calculated? So payment is based on the number of units that you would have had. So it's number of units times the EAP rate. So if you are due an EAP for this year, your EAP is actually due in this year, it would be $170 multiplied by the number of units that are in your plan. All right, and you can know how many units you have by looking at the dashboard. Okay. All right. I think we've answered all the questions. So just a reminder, myself and Alia are in Bermuda So for persons, I know you would have received an email, just to clarify if there's anybody online, you would have received an email if it is that you were due an EAP or if your plan was if your plan was maturing and you are from Bermuda. The email would have said your plan is maturing, and I know that would have been a little confusing for some persons whose plans have already matured and you're due your EAP. So we are here really if it is that you are due an EAP, you don't have access to the online dashboard and you need assistance, then you can come see us. In terms of the walking along with your proof of registration and the completion of the physical payment form. And then for persons who are having an issue completing their maturity online, we're also here to help you with that process. So we will be here tomorrow and Wednesday. We saw quite a few persons on Saturday, and we saw another good turnout today. So you can come by any of the next 2 days. But if you would have been familiar with the process last year, completed your EAP application online, you have no need to come by. All right. So we do apologize if the email that you received was a little confusing. If you're familiar with the process and you're comfortable with the online application process, then you don't need to come by. All right. When I logged on, you were told you're not currently eligible to submit an EAP due to your eligibility year, so you were a bit confused. I think Alia is answering that one, but if there's anybody else who had that, you will see that. If it is that the portal is not yet open, so once we open the portal and your eligibility year is 2026 and earlier, and you are due an EAP, then you will be able to do the application. If it is that you are going to be advancing an EAP, then you also have to submit that before. We'll have to adjust your eligibility year for you to be able to do the application. All right, so in some instances, you're still going to have to reach out to us to just assist you. If it is that you are advancing an EAP, of course, there are requirements to do that in terms of having completed at least 1 year of university already. All right. Again, the portal will be open by the 7th of August. And you will be notified by email when to access the platform. All right. Lorna, you're asking to share the link. Is it the link to the online dashboard? If it is, can I just ask one of the other, thank you so much, Daniel, to share that link for us. Yes, so Valerie, I am saying that you can't access or upload until it has opened on August 7th. All right. Charlene, you would complete the same online application process, the exact very same one. That's what you would complete in order to use a copy of his diploma to claim the final EAP. Audria, you applied for your EAP last year, and you didn't receive any communication about it. Can we just make a note and then we will contact you tomorrow, Audria? Can you just indicate your email, please, so that we can use it to pull your account up? Either your email or the beneficiary's name. You can respond today or just place another question, and then we can look for what would have happened last year and make contact with you tomorrow. All right. If it is that you are doing the EAP advancement, so if your child completed sixth form, we would need a copy of the CAPE results showing CAPES 1 and 2, and that is what you would submit for us to to do the advancement of the eligibility year. Okay? All right, Danny or Nakira can just make a note of Audra's email, please, and the beneficiary's name so that we can look into that issue tomorrow. Thank you. If your account is in the UK, you don't need to submit a proof of address. You would put the banking information, just ensure the IBAN is there, ensure that if there's a SWIFT code or whatever is used for the UK banks, that information is put in, so that we can do the wire transfer. All right. All right.
Just a quick note
Go
I
ahead,
saw
Molly.
here in the chat as a reminder, an EAP will not be released to fund CAPE studies. The EAP will be released when the child is enrolled in a recognized post-secondary institution. Completion of CAPE, however, will allow for us to advance your EAP, the year of eligibility, but an EAP will not be released because the child is pursuing CAPE studies and you'd like for the funds to be used to fund that CAPE studies cost. The EAP won't be released until they are actually in a recognized post-secondary institution. Upon completion of CAPE, then we can advance the year of eligibility to release an EAP.
Okay, thanks, Marlene. On that note, if the child did 1 year of sixth form, would he or she be eligible? No, he or she would not. The requirement is for the completion of 2 years of sixth form to be the equivalent of 1 year in college. All right. A reminder, the EAP can be paid over to the subscriber if the beneficiary gives the consent. There's a slot to be ticked when filling out the application. That is exactly what happens. You simply select and check that you're confirming that the beneficiary or the student has consented to the payment being made to the subscriber. All right. Excuse me. Is there a list of post-recognized secondary institutions? No, there is not a list per se. However, you can always Google to see what are the recognized colleges and tertiary institutions in each of the 4 jurisdictions, as well as internationally. All right. If it is that you are on your way, you're in your second year of Bermuda College, yes, you can apply. Once you can apply using your Bermuda College. I'm not sure. It says university. You don't have to be going to an international university to be eligible for your EAP. You can be doing a local college. And so once you are in a post-secondary program, then you can go ahead and do the application. All right. You get diplomas, you get degrees by completing specific programs in college. So don't think that you need to necessarily be going away to school to be eligible for the scholarships. All right. My daughter is in a 4-year program. Will the 3rd EAP be paid at that time? I'm answering that one day, and I was trying to get a little bit more clarity. If it's a 4-year program, then she would have got 1 EAP in years 2, year 3, and year 4. So that would equate to the 3 EAPs being paid. How is the increase in EAP calculated? So I'm trying to figure out how to answer this. So remember that the foundation has the ability to look at what surplus is in the fund, if any, and ensure that the amount that is being used to top up the scholarship is sufficient, but it doesn't put the remaining plans or the plans which are to mature in the future at a disadvantage. So we have to be prudent in how it is that we're applying the increases to the EAPs to ensure that for plans which will be maturing in another couple of years, that they also will be able to benefit from an EAP similar to what is being paid now. It doesn't make sense for us to move the EAP rate from 170 to 200 or 250, and then that is not sustainable. So we have to do it in such a way that the plan is fully funded and is financially stable to ensure that EAPs of a similar amount can be paid to future beneficiaries as well. Okay? All right. All right. Thank you so very much. Team, is there anything, I don't know if there's anything that we would have missed, that we need to remind or we would have left off? Ladies, that you need me to remember to say, just let me know. All right. Last two questions. We are cutting off last two questions. If you have two plans, two registration forms with the different plan numbers. If you have two plans, you need one POR. One POR is fine. You don't need two, but you'll just upload the same POR to the two applications. So yes, you're going to be doing two applications online, same POR. That's all you need. Put both account numbers on the same POR and do the applications for each of the two plans online using the same proof of registration. All right. John says he's clicking the link to access the proof of registration, but it's not sending you to the section to find it. That's a little strange. The proof of registration, when you go on the Heritage INTL Plan website, you should see resources and then you select proof of registration and it should pop up. But we'll double check our website to see if there is something, off with the website currently. So you go to My Heritage Resource Center, and then you'll see proof of registration form 2026, and then the form comes up. All right. All right, I think that's it for us.
Mhm.
All right, so I was about to say 6:28. 6:28 in Jamaica, it's 7:28 in Bahamas. It is 8:28 in the Bermuda. 8:29. Just trying to adjust to the change in the time zone because it's actually just got dark. So thank you so much for joining us. this year on our webinar. Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, team, for so ably answering all the many questions for us. And we look forward to next year. And for those persons who may come by tomorrow, we'll see you. But until next time, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Our telephone numbers are 876-946-4073, 876-946-4074, 876-946-4075, or 876-946-4076. All right, so please feel free to reach out to us. And I just want to say here, I know for some persons in the Bermuda, you may be having an issue. When we try to call you sometimes, the phone rings, and then when you answer, we can't hear you. And I think it's the same thing for when you call us in some instances, the phone rings, we answer and we can't hear you, but you can hear us. So we do apologize for that. I think that's an issue that Digicel is having. Not sure what's going on. But we are going to reach out to them again to let them know that this is still happening. And so we do apologize, but we do have a line that is dedicated via WhatsApp to our Bermuda subscribers that would have been communicated to you in a couple of emails some time ago when we were announcing Jerry's retirement. So just look out for that email, and you can always reach us via WhatsApp. You can also call us on the WhatsApp line if needs be, and that line is dedicated solely to our Bermuda subscribers. All right, so just double check for that email. So if you're having an issue contacting us via phone to the numbers I mentioned above, just reach out to us via the WhatsApp line. All right, Marlene, any final words from you?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to our subscribers. Thank you for spending the afternoon with us and for allowing us to walk you through the EAP application process. We wish for you and your children, your grandchildren, whether it be your niece, nephew, your beneficiaries who are embarking on a new journey, maybe some for the first time into college or university. We just want to wish them all the very best. We wish them nothing but success. And again, we thank you kindly for your time and for trusting us with your business. We do appreciate it. And if there's one compliment that you can pay us is to really tell your friends and family about the plan that you've benefited from, so that they too can start planning and preparing for such a time as this. We really want to say a huge thank you, all the very best to your young ones as they embark on a new journey. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. Night all.
Good night.